It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
There's obviously going to be some nights in an 82-game season where you just tip your hat to the other team and say, hey, they shot it great, they played great, they beat us. Tonight's game, I felt like the quality of three they got was just too good. And, we have to do a better job at the point of attack. We also have to do a better job scrambling on the backside of the defense and try to make some of those open looks a little bit more contested. It's easier said than done.
There is Will Hardy after the Utah Jazz get blown out by Oklahoma City. Never really in doubt, PK. That lead went to double digits right out of the gate, to 20, to 30. It ends up being a 35-point loss, 146-111. Combined with the Mavericks win, the Jazz have clinched one of the 5 worst records in the league. Now we'll see if they can get to 3 or 4 here in the final 3 games.
Yeah, I got nothing to say on this game.
It was that kind of game.
Yeah.
40 points they give up in the first quarter, and it's over. All right, DJ and PK on to the NBA.
Hashtag NBA.
Cooper Flagg is putting together some numbers at the end of the year. He has some big performances, a series of them. The Lakers are depleted by injury. They have LeBron James, but they're missing Reeves, and they're missing Doncic. So the Mavericks win 134-128, the final score. Cooper Flagg goes for 45 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. He got to shoot 17 free throws, and he made 15 of them. He has a massive game. They get win number 25, and combined with the Jazz loss, that's why the Jazz are locked into one of the 5 worst records. I know it's a depleted Laker team, but nonetheless, Cooper Flagg is putting together a string of big-time performances here, PK.
Yeah, well, he's a star. He's a star in the making, probably. It's more accurate when he is he turned 19, in December, so when he's 23, 24, he's going to be all NBA first-team caliber. That's what this player is. He's something. He's been something for a number of years. It's been certainly I would grade him out as an A for his rookie season, and he's only going to get better. And if that team gets some players around him, they're going to get better.
He scored 51 points against Orlando on Friday night. So this isn't a one-off here. He's been good all year, and he's on fire right now. So they get win number 25, and the Grizzlies and the Pelicans are all at 25 wins. The Jazz are at 21. They can only get to 24. So really attention turns to what are the Kings going to do, because they are also on 21 wins. And I suppose there is still a mathematical chance that perhaps the Nets will get there. They got win number 19, beating the Wizards yesterday. And down the stretch here, between playing bad teams and playing teams that might be resting guys in the finale or have injured guys, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't really care. The Jazz have kept the pick. I'm not going to worry about whether they're 4th or 5th because that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And these odds, they got a 10% chance. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. That's just like the ESPN thing where they come out, some teams got a 95% chance to win in the last 4 minutes. The game is not decided that way. The game is decided out on the floor. And the lottery odds, just because you have a 10%, what does that mean? They can change instantly. As we know, Dallas had a minuscule chance and they got it. So to me, it's good enough. I'm not worried about whether the Sacramento Kings win or lose, or who else did you just say? It doesn't matter anymore. Nets. Because even if you don't get the pick, or you do get the pick and you take some stiff, then what does it matter? So they did what they needed to do. They're in, and now the charge is to get a really good player or use that as a trade asset. Who's to say they even trade it? I know we got to talk about it because we got to do that till 10 o'clock, but I'm done with that stuff. So you can continue breaking down what the Kings do, but it doesn't matter anymore because all that stuff doesn't make you have a bad player or make you have a good player. It's up to you to go ahead and do something to make sure you get a good player, and that's the charge. They kept the pick. That's all that matters.
And I think that scenario you threw in there, totally realistic. Got to keep an eye on it. What if they do move back to 6 or 7? And what if the players that they love are off the board at that point, and they try to trade up and they can't? Then in that case, wouldn't be surprised if that pick went in to get a veteran player. They got a ton of young guys. Maybe there's somebody they want to get, but maybe they'd value a veteran more.
Hey, LeBron hates Memphis. He don't hate Salt Lake.
See? Steph Curry is back. He's been out for a long time. He's had knee pain, but he is finally back with 5 games, now 4, left in the season. He returned 29 points, but the Warriors lost to the Rockets 117-116. He had a shot late there to win it, but Steph is back and presumably will play a few games here and then be ready for the playing games. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
Championship game tonight. Michigan and UConn. UConn with another win. They save us from an all Big Ten final. And then Michigan just blowing Arizona out early. Built a huge lead and pushed it up to 30, and Michigan ends up winning 91-73. My only question late in that game, PK, was, were you watching Michigan blow out Arizona, or were you watching Arizona State blow out Arizona? Because I was flipping around a commercial break and saw your Sun Devil baseball team putting it on Arizona pretty
Oh, and the Sun Devils bunted in the 9th inning, and that really flipped off Chip Hale. But then Willie Bloomquist, who played in the majors like 15 years, is the manager of the Sun Devils, or the coach, I guess they would call it in college. Wait a second, a couple years ago we were down here and you beat us 20-0. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, move aside, Gino Ariema and Dawn Staley. We got a duel in the desert right now. We'll pace it off 20 feet and then turn around.
Duel in the desert.
It was a beautiful night. No, and then I went on social media, and all you care about is our team losing. And, hey, we got to the final or the Final Four, so it mattered. Well, then why were you mocking us after that loss to Texas 2 years ago?
Nice. The rivalry got all sorts of fired up. Oh, man. Awesome. You did mention the women's basketball, the semifinal on Friday, and UConn got upset, and pretty decisively. It wasn't close. It was a double-digit game. And then the handshake, and then Gino's got something to say, and then nobody wants to talk about it afterwards on the stand. All right, you two don't like each other, and you thought you were going to win the title, and she beat you again and broke your heart. And then UCLA, that was beaten in the final. So the UCLA women are the NCAA champions. As
they are.
South Carolina.
Sort of like Michigan with all their transfers.
Yeah.
They got 4 of them. Amy Hawkins' sister, I think, is the only one who was there for the entire time, and good for her. And Hawkins, who played there, that's his alma mater, and then was at the game, is now with the Miami Heat. So that's a fun story. And Neepkins, the young lady who played for Utah for 3 years, and then one of those years she had a non-contact injury against BYU and was out for the season, so she had to redshirt and had an extra year. So she took off, and it's looking like she'll be a WNBA player. They were dominant. Betts, a big player. Her brother is like 7'2", as a sophomore in high school, and keep an eye on him down the line. But then if Michigan does what they did to Arizona and what they did to Tennessee, if they do that to UConn, besides the entertainment that will be Dan Hurley and Dan Hurley's mother, for that matter, this is something. And then 2 years ago they were like 8-24 or something, and then they got a bunch of transfers, and away you go. They were discussing. I was listening to Portnoy this morning, and I think he's a big Michigan fan. East Lansing people, which is where Michigan State is. We bought it. Well, how'd that work out for Mark Pope? This money, you got to have it, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. But for Michigan, wow. I hope they don't. I hope it's a closer game. I certainly didn't mind them kicking the snot out of Arizona, although I do like Tommy Lloyd, that's for sure. And I think he's a really good coach, and I think Arizona will have opportunities down the line whenever they may come. Who knows, but I definitely think they will come again. They've got too much going for them as a basketball program. But I'm real curious to see that they just lay the woodshed, put the beating on these guys and take them out to the woodshed, or whatever that phrase is, again. 3 in a row at the end. Wow. I don't think it'll happen, but who knows?
It's how they've treated everybody. They have not. Every game they've won has been a double-digit game. They had I think it was 13 with Alabama as the close one, and the average margin of victory is 21. I mean, they're just crushing people in this tournament. So, championship game tonight. You can hear right here on The Zone. West Virginia held up the Big 12 pride, though. They won the college basketball crown tournament in Las Vegas. How about that, huh? West Virginia taking down Oklahoma in the title game.
I assume you're being satirical.
I am, yeah. Auburn won the NIT.
Second best league in the world, right there. That's the Big Ten.
Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Former top overall selection Trayvon Walker was given a 4-year, $110 million extension with $77 million guaranteed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They picked him first in 2022. He's had 24 sacks over 3 years. He did some injuries last year, so he only had 3.5 sacks, but they have fully invested in him, and that is a winnable division, PK, and they've been good enough to win it, but they haven't been good enough to do much in the playoffs. I guess they view him as a piece here. We'll see if Jacksonville can make themselves a little more of a postseason story going forward.
Well, that's good because often in my life I've been viewed as a piece too, so I understand.
The NFL announced it has ended its own investigation into Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, stating he is not engaged in conduct that violates the personal conduct policy. He's been accused of abusing his former girlfriend in January in a social media post that showed her with bruises and wounds. So they concluded their own investigation. Of course, the police do their own thing. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
President Donald Trump issued an executive order Friday evening that directs the NCAA to create rules that mandate college athletes can play for no more than a 5-year period. It allows them to transfer schools only once before they graduate without having to sit out a season. The rule changes are scheduled to go into effect August 1. A school that plays an athlete who does not meet these new limits could risk losing its federal funding. So how about that? Also, the NCAA has been the order indicates the NCAA should update its rules and create a national registry for player agents and create policies to prevent schools from cutting scholarships or other opportunities for women's and Olympic sports in order to pay their athletes. So there's a bunch of federal rules, and now lawyers somewhere can go challenge them in court somewhere. It seems like that will happen next inevitably, but there you go with some a federal order to create some new rules.
I think it's a start as opposed to a finish.
Yeah.
I don't really see it as a finish. For instance, one thing that came up is that suppose your coach leaves, and that's the way it's been in terms of transfer portal. You get an extension and all that stuff if your coach leaves. So you got to have something in there that gives them extra player movement, because we do know a coach can move. So some coaches have been there one season and they're gone, and then a lot of coaches, as Lane Kiffin, didn't even bother to finish the season even though your team was in the playoff. So don't come at me or players opting out. We literally had a head coach opt out, and his team wasn't in the playoff. It was not in the Who Gives a Crap Bowl. It was something that was every team in the country strives for. So they've got to come up with something that allows it some player movement when it is to the benefit of the coach. It needs to be the benefit of the player. So if that player, he or she, has already redshirted once, or already transferred once, wouldn't have to redshirt. But as I say, this starts discussion, and reading a lot of university presidents and conferences, they thought there's good in there. There needs to be some form of guardrails, I guess. But I get the ball rolling on this and go from here.
The ball is rolling, and it's stuff that a lot of people would like to see. But like you said, the final product seems like there's going to be courtrooms, seems like there's going to be negotiations. So we'll see where this goes. But we keep hearing all these coaches say it can't go on like this. So this would put some of those guardrails up that they are clearly craving. Yeah. Whether they can get them and sustain them, time will tell. All right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Oh, come on. Mike Trout was off to a start. Why did we have to have that happen, PK? The Angels beat the Mariners 8-7, but the game is not the story. The story is the Angel fans are furious at the Mariners for throwing at their star, and Trout got hit on the hand, and we'll see what they say today. The post-game x-rays were negative, so that's a good sign, but we've seen that kind of pitch hitting somebody on the hand and breaking a bone, and then they're out a month or a month and a half or whatever. And Trout's had enough injuries, and it looks like late in his career here, he's putting together off to the, a week or whatever in, but he's off to a good start. Maybe he can have a full season. Maybe he can bounce back. We didn't need this that early.
Yeah, I would suspect that some Mariners would be hit because he was hit multiple times.
Yep.
And you hit me, I will hit you.
Yeah, got to protect your star player. Has been around for longer than you and I have been.
No, their star player is former Salt Lake Beer Joe Adele. You got your home run. No, you don't. I'll go in the 10th row next time and get one.
Nice. The Salt Lake Bees lost their series finale against the Sacramento Rivercats 9-5. The Bees head out to Reno tomorrow, opening a 6-game set with the Aces. That'll start 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Tony Park's on the call here on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Real Salt Lake beats Sporting Kansas City 3-1. Diego Luna gets his first start of the year. Took him all of about 4 minutes to score. Sergey Solans hit the crossbar again. Then got in behind the defense, one-on-one with the keeper, got stopped. But the fourth time was the charm. He buried that one to put him up, give him the second goal, and Xavier Gozo added a gorgeous goal that actually started as a mistake with a poor touch, but then he hit that volley, and everybody went nuts, and they win 3-1. So Pablo's guys are rolling. This is how you like your Thunderbird high alum to look, PK. He just has to keep going up there and answering questions about wins. They're unbeaten in their last 5.
Well, speaking of answering questions, I mean, we do recognize you as the most important soccer media person. So because of that stature, there's sort of an unwritten rule that you get the first 25 questions?
No. Trey calls someone to start it, and yesterday he started with me.
He might have called somebody to end it. That was 2 days ago. But, man, I thought I was listening I thought it was Friday morning, and Pablo was on. It was just you, one right after another, peppering him, and you're using the soccer lingo, and you're dropping some soccer knowledge. Man, that brief 45-minute question and answer between you and him, I was able to learn a lot about the game.
It wasn't 45 minutes. Calm yourself down.
Am I right, Yak? I mean, Maron.
Yak's getting paid for the postgame.
I was gonna say, I'm sitting there. He's filling my time doing my job for me.
Jeez.
There are other people in the room. Yes.
Other people ask plenty of questions.
Yeah. After you asked like 15 of them.
Well, don't give me the mic first, then. I don't know. They don't always. Sometimes.
Holy freak!
Royal, the RSL will be off next weekend, so 2 weeks before they play again. The game with Seattle got moved because Seattle's putting down a grass field on top of the turf, and they want that thing to sit there and grow together for a while. So RSL will sit it out next weekend. Utah Royals beat Chicago. Only goal of the game, Mina Tanaka's penalty gives the Royals the win. DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Do you want to win the week right before a major, PK? It's so rare you win back-to-back weeks. JJ Spawn won the Valero Texas Open, 17 under. He wins by 1 shot.
Yeah, I don't think you get to choose.
Yeah,
Everyone would choose the Masters. We understand that, but that's not the way it works.
Tony Finau, pretty good there for 3 rounds, but the final round didn't go so well. A Sunday 78, he drops back and finishes tied for 49th at 4 under par. Patrick Fishburne missed the cut, and now they are off to Augusta National. I've seen some social media stuff on this, PK. And Bob Casper's come on because he goes back there every year, and he told us about how they bought up some neighborhoods around there and enlarged the property and the parking and all that. And some dude, I don't know who it is, but he did this thing on social media. He was talking about there's one house in a parking lot because one family held out, and they turned down a massive offer and then a bigger offer than that. But they'd owned 2 other properties in the neighborhoods that already sold 2 and made a ton of cash. And they're like, yeah, we'll just hold on. So now they live by themselves in a parking lot. How about that?
Good for them, I guess.
Pretty weird story. All right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Well, the Utah Mammoth are playing the worst team in the NHL, the very bottom of the standings, and they did what they were supposed to do. They scored 7 times. They got a hat trick from Clayton Keller, and they won the game 7-4. They pick up win number 40 on the year. They're on 86 points. They got a little breathing room in the race for that first wild card. I mean, it's still enough time. They haven't officially clinched it, but they've set themselves up, PK, with 5 of their last 6 at home, where they haven't been nearly as good as they've been on the road. It's been night and day.
Well, they're going to the postseason.
Yeah. Possibly they will open the first round against the team they play tomorrow night. The Edmonton Oilers will be here. 3 teams separated by 1 point at the top of the Pacific Division. The Oilers are in that mix, and if the Mammoth stay where they are, and it looks like they will get whoever wins that division. Puck drops tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Delta Center. Newark Islands fired head coach Patrick Waugh amidst a late-season swoon. They replaced him with Peter DeBoer, who's given a 4-year contract in addition to a deal to finish out this season. So, handful of games here and then 4 more. That's what's trending, brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, will join us at 8 o'clock. We will talk NCAA title game with him. The question of the day is next. Stay with us.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
And the Mammoth obviously have a lot of work cut out for them still because they are now at a point where, again, I hate looking at the percentages, JJ. Doesn't it make you nervous to go, yeah, right now they sit at 76.5% to be that wild card 1 team. There's so much hockey still left to be played.
Yeah, that percentage can drop quickly if you lose 4 straight again. Overall, you're looking at where this team is at. They're in that number 1 wild card spot. They control their own destiny. I would rather be in that number 1 wild card spot than in the number 3 central spot because if you're the Wild, you're either playing the Avalanche or the Stars in the first round. That's brutal.
It is.
I would rather be the Mammoth. You're going to be playing a first-round playoff series against the Ducks, and then you get the winner of the Oilers and Knights in the next round. I'd rather do that than get the Stars or Avalanche in the second round. If they're in that number 1 wild card spot with as good as that team is, there's a path for them to go on a long run in the playoffs, not just win a series.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it is Masters Week, and that means it's time for the Copper Rock Masters Giveaway. Be caller 12 right now at 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. And you will be assigned a player in the field at the Masters this week. We're giving away the top 25 players, and a 26th qualifier will get the field. If your golfer wins the Masters, you will win 18 holes for 2 at Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane and a $100 gas gift card. Copper Rock, where the pros play. I suspect Copper Rock is one course that a lot of people in Utah haven't played yet, PK.
Okay.
You, however, have extensive knowledge of the course. What can you tell us about Copper Rock?
Enjoy it. It's golf, man. Somebody's going to die today, and you get to play golf whenever that day is. I'm talking to myself, by the way, not to other people.
So seize the golf, seize the good times while the opportunity is there.
Yes, that's the point. I'm not. I never lecture. No, lecturing is a waste of time because no one's going to change your mind, and you're not going to change anybody else's mind. So whatever.
And we only know this because we spent time lecturing people and realized we wasted our time.
Yeah, and so enjoy it. I mean, it's a fun course. It's out there. Not a lot around. The back nine has some extreme altitude changes. I think 10, 11, 12. Goes straight uphill. So 13 goes straight downhill. There's a par 3 that's straight downhill. It's a funky course, but it's fun, and you can have a good time.
How are the Red Rock views?
And they're good. I mean, you're out there. It's a ways from everything. It's a ways of everything. In 15 years, it's not going to be a ways from everything. They've got big plans. They got a beautiful driving range there. And an opportunity to practice right there. Balls are included and all that stuff. And, yeah, it's usually in good shape. Greens are tough, usually fast. You got to be careful on that. But, yeah, if you have an opportunity to play it, enjoy it.
All right, Copper Rock. Got the Masters qualifier right now. Caller 12-801-575-ZONE. And, of course, we'll keep doing this through all the shows today, tomorrow, and Wednesday before the Masters gets going Thursday. And 26 of you will qualify. We're getting qualifier number 1 right now. All right, it's time for the question of the morning. Hot takes or toast? We got a championship game tonight. We got a poll question up. Who wins tonight? That's for your prediction. So you can go to Twitter, David DJ James, cast your vote there. We'll see what you people are thinking. But the Facebook question you put up with Michigan just embarrassing Arizona in the semifinals. Are we all Wolverine fans in the championship game? No, we are not. Brady says go UConn. Paul says go Huskies. And Brian says you guys are Utah and BYU fans all day, every day. Laughing, crying emoji.
I am fans of both those programs. I want to see all the teams win. So, yeah, I'm a fan of that, of anybody in this state for that matter. I would have loved to have seen Utah State beat Arizona, but that wasn't ever going to happen. I don't know what that has to do with Michigan, UConn. I just figured people didn't like Hurley. He's abrasive. He's a Northeastern guy.
There it is. Michael, if you are asking if we detest Hurley, yes. Yes, we do. And 4 thumbs up from some of our other listeners who came to his response a little later. Yes.
I find him funny and entertaining. I mean, I grew up with those people in my house. In my house, in my room.
Where my children play. Where my wife sleeps.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Jersey City a million times. My grandmother, at the latter part of her life, lived with my Uncle John, my father's older brother, and that was in Jersey City. And it's a grimy place. People think of Jersey. I know there's a clown I heard once say, "Oh, New Jersey's a dump." Yeah, and compared to where some people lived, if you live in a place that is better than Malibu, I'm sure. But you get out in the countryside there, where I lived, which is only 20 minutes away from Jersey City. But Jersey City's buildings and streets and pavement and all that stuff. It's right across the water from New York. It's an industrial area, and Hurley's, that's the way they grew up. I mean, you look at him and his brother, his older brother, Bobby Hurley, 2 undersized guys that made their mark in basketball. You got to appreciate that. It's like they had to fight and stretch and do all the clawing for everything. They were grinders for what they have, and now Hurley here is doing the same thing with UConn, and it's impressive, man. He's able to get away with all the profanity and aggressiveness and abrasiveness because they win. But I know that's going to turn some people off, particularly on our side of the country where they're not used to that.
Isn't Jersey like a lot of states? I mean, you can go find your grimy place, but then they've got the places that are great. And then the part I didn't understand, it was when Brett Favre went to play for the Jets, and he was talking about how it reminded him a little bit of Green Bay. And I remember thinking, dude, you're playing in New York. How does the biggest market in the country remind you of Green Bay? But what he was getting at is he would just drive – I don't know exactly where he lived, but he'd drive a while, and the center part of the state is not urban.
Not at all.
He would go deer hunting. And so his point was that if they had an off day, he could just get in his car and drive whatever he wanted in an hour or two.
Hour or so, maybe, yeah. Once you get to the central part of the state, sure.
Yeah, you get to the central part of the state, and he could go deer hunting. He's like, he could get away from football and totally change his routine, which obviously in Green Bay, that's not as surprising, right? You drive an hour from Green Bay, of course you could be out, hunting in the woods somewhere. And yeah. So that surprised me. I mean, I've been to Jersey, but I haven't spent a lot of time there and been all over the place. I was surprised when he said that.
Yeah, and the Jets, they train in the suburbs. I've been to their practice facilities out there. It's definitely more countryside. But, I mean, that's who Hurley is. And
and there's 2 things working against him. One, that, the personality in this, the most joyous of moments is their stunning Duke with just an improbable rally and an unlikely shot, and yet they pull it off, which was so impressive if you just put the basketball over there. But whatever that was with the ref and the head bump and dude, just why? Why always with that stuff? But I think the other thing they have working against him is the fan base is just they tend to get just bored or you win too much, and there's always going to be jealousy and pushback. And I think we've seen that with the Chiefs in the NFL. People are tired of seeing them win. The first time you win, it's kind of cute. The second time, we like to talk about, can there be a dynasty? And by the time there definitely is a dynasty, people hate the Patriots, they hate the Chiefs, they don't like UConn. It just seems the way of the sports
That's
world.
hard for me to grasp because there's nobody in the sports world that I hate.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It's just sports.
Right.
It's not worth my time to hate. I just don't. I've got a lot of other stuff that I can find if I want to hate. So I don't know that anything's working against him. I think that's who he is, and everybody knows it. So if you don't like it, that's sort of on you, not him, because he's not changing, man.
He's clearly not changing.
And this is the way he's going to be, and they win, and everybody likes to win. And that stuff, I sent you that thing that the ESPN guy wrote about him being an NC North Carolina candidate, and then they're saying his style flies in the Northeast because that's the way it is in the Northeast. And maybe
you're going to fly at North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, abrasiveness is the way of the world. I took my wife back there. She's been back there 25 times now. And in the beginning, it was just it was such an eye opener. And we had Riley Jensen in a couple weeks ago, and his wife is from that area, and she's half Italian like I am. And he was saying, that's just the way it is, the people in the Northeast, blah, 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 abrasive, yada, yada, yada. And so during a commercial break, all of a sudden he starts busting up. Well, because he gets a text from my wife that says, I feel your pain.
I would just like to see there ought to be some kind of, I don't know how you would define it. Philadelphia fans are famous for booing Santa Claus and booing Mike Schmidt, right? Those are two legendary moments. Philly, what an angry city. New York, obviously, tough on. I couldn't even list all the players where the fans have been tough on them. And yet Boston's got quite the rep. So of the three, where are people the most likely to be cranky the quickest?
Yeah, I think the New York, New Jersey area. You get over to Connecticut, and because it's a tri-state, I mean, that's just extreme affluence.
Right.
When you go across the board. I mean, the richest of the rich. Keith
the richest
Richards,
zip codes in the country,
Richards lives there.
Yeah, the richest county in the country.
Yeah. So over here, it's more blue collar. But they respect you if you work and you grind. And you got to look at Dan Hurley, man. He's a little dude. He went to Seton Hall. He wasn't good enough to play in the NBA, but he still got a college scholarship and then grinded. I think he was at one time a high school coach and a high school teacher, and here he is now doing his thing at this highest level. So if you grind like he does, people respect it. If they win, I mean, that's just an incredible dynasty. This was supposed to be a down year, and here they are, right back. And they needed – if you're not, the thing about it is you look at Michigan, they've just creamed everybody. Well, UConn needed a miracle at the end, which was, an unbelievable game. It was shocking. When that shot went in, whoa, wow, stand up. I mean, that was me, and I'm sure it was thousands and tens of thousands, if not millions of people were watching it. And so that would be somewhat of a storybook season here. I kind of want to see Michigan, even though Hurley's a Jersey guy, and so I am, because it just brings to the forefront that you buy a team. That's what we have now. But buying a team doesn't matter, doesn't equal success guaranteed. I mean, Mark Pope is going through this. We know that Kevin Young is going through it. Just because you buy a team doesn't mean you're going to get there. But do you have to buy a team? Can you develop? Are those days gone? That's what's a fascinating element going into with Michigan, because go look at where they were just a couple years ago before this May got there. They were awful. And now here they are so quickly. There's no big struggle like you have to go into pros. The Jazz are coming out. There's 3 more games. They got 1 more week left in their 4-year rebuild, and then we'll see how it goes. And there's no such thing as a 4-year rebuild in college anymore. And so if Michigan wins it, does that really highlight, because of the fact they've got all these transfers, does that mean that this is the way to go? Can you have a program in which you develop guys or do you have to just go out and make it a one-year transactional thing? And that's what I'm curious to see. And even if they don't win, maybe that's already been decided, as that's the way of the world now, and the transfer portal is going to be where you're at. They had this big discussion with Calipari and who was it, Jay Billis, and Billis is always on the player side and all that, and that's great for him if that's what he wants to say. I mean, you want both sides of the argument so you can make a better informed decision. So I may not agree with everything Billis says, but I appreciate him willing to say it. And then you had over here Calipari talking about it, and they put a clip on social media. It was like 8 minutes. I listened to the whole thing. And Calipari joking, the college basketball is going to be the guy with 2 kids on his second wife. We used to think that was just BYU. Of course, when the second wife, that took on a different meaning, but we won't go down that road. Here, he's laughing about it, and he's right eyeball deep in it. Do you have to go this way? If you don't go this way, you're going to lose, not be good enough. And it's the way of the world, and see how it develops here. Big stories that go beyond the game in the future of the sport.
It was just 3 years ago that we had Florida Atlantic in a Final Four and San Diego State in a title game. But now, do you have to be a big dog?
Well, I don't think you have to necessarily be a big dog, but you have to have the money, and you have to spend the money the right way.
No, the big dogs have the money largely. I guess the one thing that is inside this title game is if you are an elite basketball school and you put little resources in football or none, UConn puts a little, right? And they have a football team, but they're not competing at the highest level with it. Is that the way to go? A Gonzaga that doesn't play football at all. Are those schools going to have an edge? When we look back and we've had, 5 or 10 or 15 years of this system, and who knows, even that may change. We'll see how it plays out. But the San Diego States and the Florida Atlantics don't have the big money. They're not a big dog. They don't have the big money. They don't have the massive tradition. And I just wonder if the pool gets a lot smaller here.
Yeah, but you have to have money.
You do. You got to have the cash, and maybe you don't have to have the history, right? If you've got the newly minted millionaire who comes in and decides, I'm pouring cash into this program. It seems like 20 million is the number now. Whatever the going rate is going forward, it'll probably go to 30 or 40 million here. But whatever it is, if someone writes those checks, maybe you could be Florida Atlantic and be back, but you're not back unless you've got the billionaires pumping money into your program.
I think what would hurt them is the multiple transfers. That you only get one. Because other schools, Kentucky's always going to have more money than San Diego State. That's never going to change.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're going to be better, because if their money isn't spent, Pope threw a bunch of money at a kid, big center, who was at Arizona State last year. Mm-hmm. And the kid barely played at Arizona State, but he's always been high on the draft boards. They throw a lot of money at him, and he barely played at Kentucky. So you wasted that money. Meanwhile, if I'm over here at San Diego State and I'm Dutcher, I use the money and make sure I hit on my guys, particularly if I get a guy who has been bounced around a little bit. I mean, this Mara kid, he didn't play jack, but hardly did anything for Cronin or UC Los Angeles. He goes to Michigan, and he's looking like, wow, he's a big-time player. How much money did they give him based on his college production? So the money has to be used wisely. And I think in basketball, with the foreign kids and all the American players, I think there's a lot of available. I still think they have opportunities to do it. It may be harder, but just because you have the big money, that only guarantees you have the big money. That doesn't guarantee you anything. And because you have the big money, then if you get hammered in the Sweet 16, there's all sorts of grief and heat that you're facing.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Speaking of grief, the streak was snapped. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and friends.
Tony Jones from The Athletic. When you get blown out at home by a team that lost 16 in a row, I applaud that lack of effort. That was impressive by the Jazz.
The lengths that the Jazz are going to pull this off and to make sure that they keep that pick. I got to say, this is the best front office in the league at this point. I'm all in. Because they're going to keep their pick, all right? they're going to get a top 5 pick. Listen, you ready for me to get wild on here?
Let's
go.
go.
I'm going to get
Let's do
wild
it.
on this show.
Let's do it.
If the Utah Jazz get A.J. DeBancer, they're winning an NBA championship within 3 years.
Lloyd, you rolling on that? Lloyd's got
Lloyd, you got that?
it. Wow.
Catch Scotty G and Friends weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Question up on our Facebook page. For the first time in 49 years, the Utah women's gymnastics team will not compete in national. How shocking is this? They were eliminated in the NCAA regionals. John, a very good team, and if they were following the same format a couple of years ago, they would have been included. The tighter format leaves out some good teams. Anything could happen. Now it's more competitive. U fans are still proud of this group, and they'll improve. It's still an elite program. So he's pretty upbeat. Then there's also Brian. Mark Harlan continues to take Utah athletics to new places. If the rumors of getting the equity deal done and then he's gone are true, let's get ink to the paper. And there's plenty of shorter ones. Fire Harlan. Mark Harlan strikes again. And there are people saying, hey, it's a young team. They lost a great senior class. They're rebuilding. I guess that's the whole point. They spent 5 decades not rebuilding, just qualifying every year. So I don't think it's a program most people live and die with, but it's still a disappointment, PK.
Well, I prefer to look at it. Don't be sad because it's over. Be glad that it happened.
Well, there's that line. You got a poster there that reminds you of that? You got something up on the wall?
I'm not 12 anymore, no.
No posters. It's all fine artwork now. PK's tastes have matured.
I'm not in charge, nor do I care about home decorations.
The walls. The walls are somebody else's territory.
Although when I do retire, I'm going to get into gardening.
You are not.
Bull crap.
Are you really going to get into gardening?
Yes.
Vegetable gardening?
That green
flowers,
thumb is going to flourish.
Roses?
Yeah. Roses, daisies, in honor of you, pansies.
Oh, nice. That hurt. Oh, boy. All the people commuting to work at 8 o'clock are like, now my morning is made. I can't get out of the car till DJ is mocked.
No,
I can go in now.
I didn't say you specifically. That could be just two different words, two different meanings with the same word.
It was implied. We're all clear on what happened.
I could be looking at a yak. I could have met him. He's got a green shirt. Maybe he's got a green thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Green for the Masters, baby. Augusta, always green.
Yeah, I don't know a thing about gymnastics. I mean, I appreciate all the efforts that they put in to be a good gymnast, whatever it takes. I'm sure it takes just as much dedication to be a good gymnast as it does to be a good whatever form of athletic competitor. So I don't deny that, and I respect that, but I don't know anything about it, and I haven't followed it, and it's not my thing. It's the one sport I've never covered. I've covered figure skating.
When did you cover figure skating? Down in L.A.? There's some championships there?
It was the Olympic trials.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we had to go to the Forum, and they had figure skating there, so I had to, for some...
Figure out what was going on.
I wasn't good enough to do the Olympics. That's been a historical fact. But I was good enough in Los Angeles to do the Olympic trials. So I made it to AAA, but I just wasn't quite good enough to make it to the big leagues.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone championship game tonight. Steve Cleveland joins us talking hoops next right here on The Zone.